Hey everyone, and welcome to season 2 of Linking to the Afterlife. This season will continue with our soul existence readings and connecting with your loved ones in spirit. We will also be adding a few organic chats with friends and episodes explaining more about communicating with the afterlife. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, see the show notes. Thanks for listening. Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about the new paradigm and how it affects out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences. What do the two have in common? And do you need to actually have a near-death experience in order to experience other worlds, to experience the spirit world, to experience another dimension, to experience the oneness? I'm going to say definitely no right now. So spoiler alert, no, you don't. Well over 20 years ago, at least 10 years before I became a medium and doing this sort of work, I experienced an out of body. I was teaching a yoga class in my studio. Prior to this, I had already received a few very clear answers from, I guess I called it the universe back then, during dreams. I had asked a specific question before I fell asleep, received the answer completely in a dream, and a couple times when I didn't have a dream, when I woke up in the morning, I had a sense about me. I had a thought in my head. So I didn't jump right out of bed. I listened to it. And that's the way I started teaching yoga at a certain place. It's also how I found my yoga studio in the small town of Vermont that I was living in. I don't know how I was led on this course, this guided by this spirituality that I had. I just did. I also knew for most of my life, I'm in my 60s, so for most of my life, you weren't able to Google all the things that were happening to me, from a spirit speaking in the middle of the night to sounds in my old house that I lived in Vermont that were clearly spirit. I just rolled with it. When I experienced that out of body thing, I couldn't Google it. I couldn't tell anybody. The hardest part for me to deal with now is that over 20 years later, it's still not common for us to talk about how these things are happening to many of us. But I'm getting renewed senses every time I get excited, and I thankfully have these experiences. I can share them now, and hopefully many of you will also share. I have a social media platform. I have this podcast. So yes, that makes it easier for me. But I also have to deal with the people that come back at me, the bullies online. But I'm okay with that now because I totally am confident in what I've experienced and what I am experiencing now to this day. My spirit voice recordings are definitely getting more understandable. They're doing their work. I'm continually recording every day to allow them the practice as well as myself. I'm hearing languages that are absolutely German and absolutely Hebrew, and those come from two of my spirit guides. One I'm just recognizing is Carl Jung, who I've had a fascination with and studied for well over 30 years, and Rabbi Isaac Luria, that came to me during readings almost 7 or 8 years ago. And he's just making himself known now. You can listen to a lot of those on my Instagram page, Spirit Precipitation, and also my YouTube page. But today we're going to talk about that one specific out-of-body experience that I had. It was a conscious out-of-body experience, which means no drugs were involved. I wasn't in heavy meditation. I had finished teaching a yoga class, and at the end of this class, I bring everybody up out of relaxation, and I do another 2-3 minute, kind of get them ready for their day to stand up. So I get everybody in a seated position again on their yoga mats, and I told them, okay, close your eyes. As they closed their eyes, I closed my eyes too, because that's the way I channel spirit at that time. And remember, I was not a medium, but I was understanding that during yoga classes, I was channeling something outside myself. It was evident. I didn't know where half those poses and those words were coming from. And I also have two yogis that are spirit guides that I didn't recognize, that I didn't know until years later. I closed my eyes and my soul, whatever was inside of me, was shot up into the universe. And I just sat on some clouds. I sat back. I was just on those clouds. I didn't really look down at my body. I wasn't sure because there were no questions in my mind. I just sat there. All I felt was love. I wasn't aware of fear. I wasn't aware that there was nobody with me. None of that existed. I was sitting on a cloud for years because obviously I was still able to tell what time, worldly time, earthly time represented. And I stayed there. I wasn't afraid. I just sat there. I don't know, wasn't looking at anything. I just sat there. And then my human brain said, uh-oh, how do I get back to my yoga mat? And in that moment, I was plopped back down onto my yoga cushion and back to my yoga studio. I opened my eyes and I said to my class, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. How long was I gone? They opened their eyes and said, I don't know what you're talking about. You just said, close your eyes. I don't think I even told them in that moment, what just happened to me. I couldn't Google it. I couldn't tell anybody else because I didn't think I was crazy, but I knew that no one would understand it. And I knew also that it was for me. So in this time, I also know when things happen to me from an otherworldly standpoint, my altered states and anything else I have during meditation are for me first. When I figure all of it out, then I share it with everybody else. So that out-of-body experience, again, a conscious out-of-body experience, I was gone in a split second that lasted years in the oneness, but only was a split second here in the physical world. I am still learning from that moment. Just a couple of weeks ago, I recognized, wow, how much is happening in a split second of each moment and how to stay aware and alert of what's happening in each moment, that there is so much happening. That moment somehow guided me over the next few years until I started seeing spirit, which was, I think that out-of-body experience happened in about 2003. And then I didn't start seeing spirit until 2012. In that time, I was following. I was paying attention to everything universal that was coming to me. I was paying attention to my dreams. I did a lot of dream analysis with a Jungian therapist, and I did therapy work with another Jungian therapist. So I was heavy into learning everything I could, but I had no idea where it was going. None of us know where we're going. The key is to pay attention. The key is to stay alert in each present moment. The key is to find the moments where you quiet your mind, even if it's only to sit in a room with your eyes closed on a chair in seated meditation. Just get yourself there so that your soul starts to say, they're paying attention. And then your soul starts to speak more. Then your soul starts to say, let's come together. Let's do this. What do you do if you have an out-of-body experience? I don't know. I only know what I did for mine. But if you're looking for someone to talk to, shoot me an email. If something like this happened to you and you just need to tell someone without judgment, without fear, without guilt, without blame, without shame, feel free to send me an email. I'm everywhere, all across the board on social media. Let me add this. Yesterday, I happened to watch the podcast Bialik Breakdown with Mayim Bialik. And she interviewed a woman who had a near-death experience a while ago. This woman What happened to her afterward was amazing. It just got released, so you could find it right now. She was on YouTube. I watched the video of it on YouTube because I love seeing people's faces, which is why I'm here right now on YouTube also. And you can listen to this on all across the board on platforms for podcasts. I watched that and I'm just getting ding, ding, ding. Everything that I've been going through, I got a renewed sense of confidence in the work I've been doing with my spirit voices. And they mention Rabbi Isaac Luria. They mention his name. And I've never heard anyone mention his name in the 6 or 7 years when he first came to me as a guide. So today, I was very excited. And I commented all over Mayim Bialik's posts on Instagram and on YouTube. So if you're listening to this, I certainly would love to speak with you, Mayim, about my spirit voices now. It's the next step in the new paradigm. We have to keep moving forward in this new paradigm, changing words that we use, changing thoughts that we think, and changing our own patterns to become more confident, to become more clear, to become this continuity of new paradigm thought, new paradigm awareness. So that was yesterday. I watched that podcast. Today, I wanted to check my Zoom recording and how some of this would come through. So I just did a quick test on my Zoom recording, which was only about 4 seconds long. And when I listened to myself talk, I noticed there was a slight break, a slight pause. So I went ahead and I did what I do, and I amplified that little break. And when I put it through the program, it was a clear 3-second someone speaking Hebrew. It was clear. I put it through Google Translate. Now, today I've been saying thank you to Rabbi Luria. I've been saying thank you to my spirit guide. Someone else contacted me today that looks like it might be a fit that I could work with. So things have been happening. When I put that spirit voice recording through Google Translate, it came through as "you're welcome." I took that as a very clear sign because I've been putting most of my recordings through Google Translate, but they haven't been working. They haven't been coming through. It's been nothing. This was the first time it picked it up clearly in Google Translate. Hebrew to English, "you're welcome." I saw that as a clear sign from Rabbi Luria speaking right now. Where do I go from here? I don't know. I take this thing one moment at a time. I figure when I'm ready, when they're ready, again, there is an order. And that is exactly what Rabbi Luria told me through another medium. I posted it just now on my Instagram page, Spirit Precipitation. I posted the whole story. Rabbi Luria told me through that medium that there is an order, and he's happy to work with me, but in the time where the order is right. No good, bad, right, or wrong. New paradigm is about receiving everything that happens to you without the attachment to, ugh, this sucks. Ugh, this is bad. Ugh, this hurts. Sure, all of that is hurtful, painful, emotional. I've been through it too. But even when I go through all of those things, I'm saying, thank you. I'm appreciating what my soul is going through. All right, back to out of body. Can they happen without having to die in that second or nearly die? Yes, they can. Pay attention to the work you're doing now. Pay attention to everything that's happening and how it can propel you forward. But it's inner work, guys. It's inner work. It's everything you say to other people, everything you do. Silence is one of the best motivators for inner work, to be silent, to sit with your thoughts, to sit with everything by yourself. I've gotten really good with that. I've been good with that for well over 10 years, well before the pandemic. I am open to questions. You can view all my Spirit Voice recordings everywhere on my social media platforms. You can email me, and I love to speak on other people's podcasts. If this is new for you, it's new. It definitely is new paradigm awareness. Awareness. It's not thought anymore. I'm confident this is what's happening. What are you doing with it, though? What are we as a whole doing with it? The collective consciousness, we've heard people speak of that. The collective consciousness has enough information. The collective consciousness is right on board. Individually, though, we aren't receiving. Not enough people are receiving. Not enough humanness, or too much humanness is happening, and not enough soulness. So tap into the collective consciousness because it's right here with us. I asked spirit voices one time, am I speaking to other dimensions? And they came back with sort of. They actually said it, came through in the recording, sort of. Okay, what do I do with that? And I pulled out my spirit dictionary and I asked, what is another word for dimensions? What does it mean? If I can't use that word anymore, because I don't see it, it's like time isn't linear, right? Everything is looping right here with me, not around me, with me. And that's what makes a lot of people lightheaded, because you get in that loop and you're experiencing past, present, future. So I'm convinced a lot of my voices, I am actually picking up people that are speaking past, present, or future. I don't know, but they're speaking somewhere in this dimension. So I go to the spirit dictionary, I ask the question, and spirit draws me to the word cloaking, cloak, like Star Trek, cloaking device. These dimensions are actually cloaked. We can't see them. We can maybe feel them. We can hear them, but we can't see them. Now, as a medium, I tend to see a lot right in front of me, sometimes, mostly in my head, but it's very clear. I can shut my mind off enough to feel it, sense it, hear it, and see it. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing for a living for 12, 15 years right now. If you don't count the years prior, I've been on this spiritual path. So if other dimensions have cloaked themselves, like maybe they can see us, but we can't see them. And if you go back to my Star Trek days, because big fan of Star Trek, ships could cloak themselves. So you can't see them, but those ships, those starships are coming through. They are right in front of us. And the same thing with my spirit voices. Spirit has drawn me to the word eclipse. I call them spirit voice eclipses. The voices of these other dimensions that are cloaked are eclipsing my time, my order right here. There aren't enough words to describe because we keep trying to use human words, out of body experience. Human word? I don't know. Near death experience? Human? What do we use? What do we use now to call what happened to me when my body was plucked out? I didn't do that. I was ready for it, but I didn't specifically sit down to meditate just to experience something. I was teaching a class and it happened. A few other times over the last 10 years, I've had a couple more out of bodies and I've had altered states. I don't even think altered states is right anymore, because one time I was sitting, they called me, I was driving, and spirit's like, go to your meditation, go to your meditation. They're screaming it in my ear. And I'm like, I'm driving. But as soon as I got home, as soon as I sat down on my mat, I didn't even close my eyes. A scene appeared in my room. Now I'm going to use the word, it was like it was cloaked and became uncloaked. And I was able to sit on my cushion and watch the scene unfold. I saw myself. It was a past life scene, one that I've experienced many times over the years. And this was my time now to actually, literally see it in front of me. And I saw myself in that lifetime. I saw what was happening and I saw what continued. I haven't shared this lifetime much. I don't want to spoil because I'm waiting for the right time when all of this comes together. So can you experience these? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do the work, pay attention, find the quiet times. One of the biggest things that isn't happening is finding enough time to be silent, to be still, and allow the mind to do whatever it needs to do. I'm not saying the mind's not going to chatter. Allow it to do that. And then find yourself in non-judgment. Find yourself not shaming yourself. Just sit. Just make the time to be silent. It could be in your car when you come home from work. And before you go into the house, before you go into whatever mayhem is waiting for you, just sit and close your eyes in the car. Spirit just wants you to sit. Your soul just wants you to be still for a moment so that you can feel the two, you and soul, combine. Humanness and soulness, be complete soulness. I love talking about all things spiritual. Thanks to everybody who has supported and prompted me to remember that I am this, that I am soul, that my soul is me. Going forward now for my podcast, I'm still doing readings for the podcast. If you'd like to come on the show, just send me an email and I'll send you out all the information. Thanks again for listening, rating and reviewing wherever you listen. YouTube, sending me comments. If anybody knows Mayim Bialik and wants to hook us up, I am up for that. What I find interesting is my daughter works for a company that actually worked an event just a few weeks ago that Mayim Bialik was at. So the closeness happened, and I'm thinking, maybe that was just something, but I'm thinking maybe it meant something. Again, everything is in order. There is an order to everything. You can't rush what's going to happen. You're never late. You're not missing anything. Be confident, be clear, and be still. Thanks, everybody, again for joining and listening. Catch you next time on my podcast, Linking to the Afterlife, or follow me anywhere on social media. Just Google Donna Boyle Medium. See ya.